Okay, so this is just going to be a quick video to talk a little bit about how the UI systems that are common to a lot of our games and kits work. The scripts for the UI have been put on these voxel objects so that they have a place to be in the world. And when you hit play, you'll notice those objects all hide themselves because they have a script on them called DBB Gizmo, and that's making them vanish. If we go take a look at any of these UI objects, you'll notice that there's a UI controller script on each one of them. That's needed, but chances are you won't need to do anything to it. Although if it's a fresh UI you're making for the first time, we recommend clicking the apply scale fix. It fixes some bugs that were in the first iteration. So most of what the actual UI will be made up of will be things called panels, labels, or buttons. So you can see there's a panel, there's a label, and a button. A panel can be either just sort of an alignment object, or it can hold a piece of art. So if you don't have art in it, you can set a width and height manually. So if we just open up this one here and take a look, this one has a piece of art in it. It has the UI description background piece. And if you click on the little pencil, that'll jump you right to the art. One thing to mention about all the UI art that works with this system is that it needs to be aligned so that the center of the scene is the top left point in the object. So we'll just go to my profile here and we'll find a piece of UI art to open. So if we go take a look at this reset button, you'll notice that it's under the floor. So I'll just shut the floor off here. And the center point of the scene is right here on it. It doesn't matter where it is in the backwards forwards direction, but it does matter in the sort of up, down, side to side. So this is where that item needs to be for the alignment system to work correctly with it. Okay, so if we go back to the scene now, and we're going to talk a little bit about how things are nested. So if you'll see, this says button panel right here. That's the element ID. And the next thing down the list, it's called button label, but its parent element is button panel. So that means this object here is going to move when this object moves, that this is its parent. So if we look at the parent IDs on all of these different objects, we can see that this button panel one is the parent of this one and this one. And then UI label, this one here, this called button label, that one's moving around with button. So let's move around one of these and just sort of see how it works. We'll use this center UI panel one, which has just a few things on it. So it just has the UI panel and the UI label. So let's hit play. And let's go to the UI panel right here. So this is the parent one. And let's just move it a little bit and see what happens. So you'll notice I've moved it over by 500 and the text went with it, right? So that parenting that I showed you, where it's, so here my element ID is center panel and the text has a parent of center panel. So that's what's making that connection. But if I moved this number, then my text would move, but the parent wouldn't go with it, right? Because this is the child object. So it's just those IDs that are making that connection between things. The ones called label, the script UI label, is the one that's controlling text, and the ones that are called panel are going to be, you know, either an art or an empty container that's used for spacing purposes. And the ones called button are going to be a clickable button thing. And then they're all hooked together with those parenting scripts. We can just quickly change this art if we wanted it to be something else. So here I've made it a giant box, and you can change the resolution and stuff of all of this, and if you do so and something's parented, it'll inherit that to the next level down. So let's just adjust the scale of this panel. See, that made the printing smaller too, because this is parented to that other one. So we're gonna actually have to up this one. Not a scale of 13. There we go. The text is going to be aligned to the side here. So if your string length changes, it might stick off the side. So make sure that you have enough space on your art for whatever it is you want to do. Since the width that this text can be is based on sort of your parent art, I would just test if you're dynamically putting some different URL text into these text boxes that all the length of those boxes is going to fit. You can make, you know, the art for that area quite long and generous, so this shouldn't really be a problem for you, but it is something to keep in mind. Another thing that's kind of like, if you do want to have like a longer piece of text that you're writing yourself and you want it to have space between the lines, you have to put an extra space in here. We're going to try to fix those things in V2 of this UI system, but for now, that will help you out with stuff like that. So yeah, I hope that helps. I hope that explains parenting. Sorry, it's like a little bit confusing, but if this doesn't help, just ask again, and I'll try to make something a little more clear.